Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Welcome back to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
Today we are very lucky to have Australian casting director Anusha Zarkesh, who has been in the business casting across film and television for over 25 years. So Anusha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Sam.
We really appreciate you making the time for us. As an up-and-coming actor, I'm really interested to understand how the casting process works from your perspective, because all we obviously see is a snapshot in time. For example, how early in a project does the casting director get involved?
Pretty much at the beginning. We're employed like a head of department. I mean, we're a freelance, head of department like anybody else. So we normally come on fairly quickly with a director or a producer or both to obviously facilitate the director's vision or the producer's vision. So each producer, each director, each project is very different. So we usually come on board when there's maybe the first draft or second draft. Sometimes an actor is attached, if they've financed it based on that actor or the material, or I'm brought on right up from the beginning, from development stage, where it may take 2 or 3 years before the project even gets financed.
That's quite a journey. I'm sure you've been on many projects where it's sort of gone all over the world, all over the place.
Yep, certainly have. I've seen films come and go, TV series come and go, never get financed. Usually 1 or 2 projects out of 10 may get get work. So we all work on those projects for free, for nothing, because we're committed to doing that. And, a lot of the producers and directors have been working on those projects for years before I even come on. Sometimes a project comes on board really quickly and within 3 months it's financed and we're up and running. I mean, there are those miracles.
Miracles can happen, but they're rare. That's interesting, those odds, though, 20% actually make it through the gate. Because I imagine they're somewhat advanced, like they've been pitched and they're sort of, in some sort of a formal format by the time you get involved.
Yeah, sometimes you've got a synopsis and a Bible, and sometimes, 6 eps might be nutted out, but you only get the pilot script and it's very early days and you read them and you get the tone of the picture or the tone of the series.
Right.
That's pitched around to certain streamers or networks and someone will buy it. But usually, because I come on board early, it's usually to attach actors to the project to then get financed, because everyone's looking for an in and an actor to attach themselves, because that's usually when they get financed, and the investors or distributors will buy into that.
Right. So less risk because a bigger name brings more eyeballs.
Distribution and streamers will come on board because they've got a couple of names attached. Yeah.
And so I guess at that stage, if you understand, say it's a television series, you understand the tone they're trying to set, and the type of lead characters, how many actors would you put in front of the director for those parts, for the leads?
Well, if it's a lead actor who we have to finance the film, there's very few actors that would do that.
Right.
And is different. So depending on the type of role, what the character is, we might bandy a few names around and we talk around it, and then we have to attach them. Of course, these are high profiled, either Australian actors in particular. They're being sent scripts all the time and they're not available, they're not interested. They can pick and choose ultimately. So that process that's the process that takes the longest, really, is to attach a high profile, whether it's, I don't know, Nicole Kidman, Naomi Watts, Hugh Jackman, Joel Edgerton. Those actors will take a long time to attach. Sometimes it happens straight away, or they have a relationship with those actors already and it comes on board pretty quickly. And then the process starts. Then we can start to relax a bit. They're financed and we're up and running and greenlit.
Yeah, right. And if you don't get those big names on board within a time period that you're happy with, do you generally then go and cast maybe lesser known actors to get the project up and running, or you just have to kind of hold off because of financials?
Each project's different, because if they can't attach someone, then they lose interest, or there's there's a lot of politics around that, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't hear. But each project's different. Each producer's, the script sometimes stands alone, and there is no one. I mean, it might be a kids show and the leads are So there is no one to put a star in that film, but there might be a little cameo that we can attach a name to. So it might get financed purely on the basis of the story or who's attached or what they're wanting to do. So yeah, it's really hard to kind of go generically each
project to project, yeah.
Yeah. Just like each actor for each role, it's very subjective.
You picked up an actor last year for your work on the feature film High Ground, which for those who haven't seen it, it's a First Nations story. What was that process like for that film?
Look, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I mean, it was hard work and it was wonderfully challenging, but it took me to on and off for a couple of months, which was just incredible. So the director and I, and one of the producers, Witi Marika, whose country we were on, took us on this wild trip around various, communities. So we had Simon Baker attached to the film, and a lot of the other, Caucasian roles were sort of cast, and then we went on the big search for all the warriors and all the other roles. So that was the fun part, because we were free to do whatever we wanted. We had no pressures from the investors. We just had to find the right people for the right roles, and we just had a ball, just flying into various communities, driving all over the place. We went from Ramaginning, Maningrida to Gove to Yukala to Jabberwocky, Elko Island to Dapawea. They're incredible,
Sounds like a dream.
We were trying to be cast the most authentically we could, and that was all driven by Witiana Marika and Stephen Johnson, the director, who was really wanting to find very authentic performers. And it was a struggle because people had never acted before, they didn't understand the process. They were quite shy, and there was a lot of embarrassment about that. And we kind of blew into community, went, hi, English was their sort of fourth language. Hi, we're here to make a film, want to be in it. And most people looked at us and rolled their eyes and went, nah, So, and the people that did were incredible. And that whole experience was very emotional and challenging and exciting. Yeah. So those are great to be involved in. That's
fantastic. And do you cast for television commercials as well? Do you do TVC briefs?
I do. Sometimes a lot of people think that if I do film and television that you don't cross over to do commercial.
Yeah.
I do. I've just done a UE commercial. I've just done a Woolworths ad. I've done, what else do I do? Finished. Yeah, so I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got a few clients that are regulars.
Because the reason I ask is because as an up-and-coming actor, I probably find the ratio is more, in a given year, I'd have more auditions for a television commercial and get in the room that way than for like a 50-worder or a supporting. Do you often see people who, aren't right for that particular, say, for example, the UE commercial, but then you've got them at the back of your mind because of something they did, and you think that they'd be great for this other part I've got, in a television series or something?
Absolutely. And I think sometimes I might be juggling 4 or 5 jobs, over a period of time. And of course I do a commercial, I come in, I go, oh my God, that person's not going to get my UE ad, but they're perfect for that, role in a television show that I'm doing. So yes. And it's all in our head. I mean, it's all, it's all going on. We remember things. That's our job. I mean, our expertise is to kind of keep on with, understanding and knowing every actor we can possibly do, and following their work and watching their short films and watching Australian television and film. It's stuff that we don't do, keeping up with who's here, coming all the graduates. So yes, I'm constantly thinking. I wake up in the middle of the night and went, oh my God, that guy that did that, Westpac ad is perfect for my film. So yes, it happens all the time. So I keep saying to actors coming out of schools and drama schools, and when I ever speak to people, remember that when you're going for that, shitty KFC ad that you don't want to do, that casting director or those producers or those people are always looking and keeping their mind out. So try and nail it. And it's really difficult to nail commercials regularly. There is a real art to it. And I think people sort of take it for granted, but it's not easy to even nail. And they're very different, and how they're different processes in many ways.
Yeah. So when you get someone in for an audition, what are the 3 main things that you look for in a performance?
Again, it's really each job is different. I mean, ultimately nailing the script, if I'm talking about film and television, not script back to front, being really prepared and prepped, understanding the tone of the show that you're doing, and do all your background check. It's quite amazing how many actors don't actually watch the show that they're auditioning for, is that if there's a precedent for it. So if you're doing rake, for instance, they don't know what grammar is, what a full stop is, what a semicolon is, have a breath, what a beat is, how to say the word. There's a word they don't understand. They just guess. They don't even find out if that's the correct way to say it, get the pronunciation right.
Yeah, right.
Really simple things like that gives you away, like in 2 seconds flat. Like I just go, lazy actor. You haven't even worked out how to say the word. And that's your
preparation, just preparation.
That's your job. But the amount of actors that get that right is phenomenal. And that's just laziness for me. And I don't know why they don't do it.
That gives you the impression then that if you did hire them or put them in front of the client, and that there's a callback with the client in the room or something, that's what they'll be like on set, underprepared.
Well, yeah, they can know the scene, but if you're not smart enough to pick up a book or even Google the right pronunciation, you sort of go, well, how much preparation did you do on this? And if you didn't really understand what the word meant, then why did you say it? So I do, that happens, and I get a bit annoyed about that because that's something that, you can work out. The other things, the X factor things, how far do you pitch it? How far do you push it? How brave are you going to make choices? Those things are exciting for me when actors really commit to making a decision about how they want to play that role. A lot of actors play it safe, and they just, there's a lot of safe, good tests, some really competent, good auditions. When people feel they are brave enough and to take those risks and to push and commit to it emotionally, or making a choice about that character and invent a backstory that only they will know, I think that's exciting to watch, because that's, I might see, but I might then get one that blows me out of the water because they're emotionally connected to it. They've gone there emotionally. I keep talking about emotion, but it might be funny. They're just really funny and they're really great at ad-libbing. They get the character and then they can ad-lib in character. I mean, I'm just doing 2 comedy series back to back at the moment, and the amount of comedy actors, I mean, they're great. They can find the beats, they can do all the comedy, but when they can invent and be brave and make choices when they're ad-libbing, means that they've really got the grasp of the character. And so that's exciting to watch. There's no set what I want in the audition is, but I think that's exciting to see talent and pure joy and playfulness. An audition is not the final result. For me, when an actor's auditioning, it's how much they take direction, how much they want to play in the room and to relax and to try and just go, I'm just here for the audition, and not worry about the end result, which is where nerves come in. And I know that's a question that you want to ask about how to deal with nerves. And I can't give you tips on that, but to say, when I'm in that room and I want it badly, every actor wants it badly. Of course, every actor wants it badly. We know that. And how to stop that nerves is to kind of go, I'm just going to enjoy this process. And it is awful. I mean, auditions, I know it. But I think if you can sort of go, okay, I'm going to put it out of my mind. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to play and then leave and not think about it. And then... you
almost have to forget that you want it so badly, because that's the part that makes you, for use of a better word, a bit shit. Because if you want it too much, you look a bit desperate, or the character just, 100%.
Desperation is okay as long as it doesn't interfere with your audition. And I think somehow you've got to kind of be fairly zen about it. And like, kids are really great at auditions because they just like coming in and playing in the room. Another form. So they don't care what happens at the end. They're just there to do that. Yeah. I think if actors can embrace that and, own the room, come in and say, okay, I'm just going to give you your, 20 minutes in the room and give you about my best thing and not be distracted and waste time making excuses, talking a lot, just get in the zone. Here we are playing. Yeah. Give me some invention, listen and react. I mean, acting is listening and reacting. So the other actor or the other reader and then react accordingly, I think that's half the trick. And then you can sort of add to that. And then if you can take direction and you can listen to that direction, even better. But a lot of actors just go and zone out And then other actors are really great at taking direction and just incrementally. So I might say incrementally, just pick up the pace a bit, which doesn't mean rush through it, just pick a little bit. And they know what that means, in terms of just, not laboring every line, that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm talking too much.
No, it's great. We're avid
me
listeners. This is gold. This is gold. I think, and I guess all that's landing, and it just sort of makes so much sense now as to why you'd want to be as prepared as possible with all the stuff the script, the character, the breakdown of the scene, practice a few different options, that sort of stuff, because I guess you can always sort of pull someone back.
Pulling back's easier than trying to push a performance and ramp it up a bit. And I think if you can, then I can say, great, and that's fine. We've got a really good big performance. Let's just throw those lines away, I don't know, just speak to a friend. Now we're being intimate. You're not talking to a huge audience, you're now talking to me and I'm 3 seconds away, which just changes the whole dynamic straight away. But those things we can start to play. But if you haven't even got there, there's nowhere to go. And then you sort of go, okay, I'm just going to give you an acting lesson pretty much for a second.
I think that's one thing. One main reason that I prefer to do auditions in the room than self-tapes, although we are living in that self-tape world, just because you can then react with you and with the casting director and get that direction and play a bit more. Self-tapes feel almost like a black hole, like you're your worst critic. And sometimes you just got to be like, yes, you don't want to be a perfectionist when it comes to that. So I think it's fun being in the room. It's a bit more of a performance.
Well, definitely. And I can see it because I'm watching on the screen in the monitor and I can sort of then make it's very subjective. Sometimes in a lot of cases, because I'm on early and the director doesn't really know what they want from that performance or that role, we might talk about the character and we kind of tonally know what we want. But sometimes we're all in the dark, including myself. So when an actor comes in or and testing for a role, I don't really know what that director wants because we haven't really nutted out that character. And sometimes an actor will just come in and have made a decision and made a choice. And we go, oh, wow, I've never thought of the character playing it like that. Or, wow, that's just a really interesting choice. And it changes the whole dynamic of the story and it adds more nuance to it. And, so an actor can completely change the nature of how, we maybe be obvious about the choices we make or the obvious character. So I think, you can certainly, and I think with self-tests too, sometimes a lot of self-tests come in and I know you're in a black hole and we're basically saying, okay, it's all up to you now. Good on you. Send the tests in. We might watch 50 tests and there might be, 40 of them pretty much the same and everyone's got the same note or feels the same way. And then 2 people might blow us completely away and go, wow, where did they get that from? But they've made choices. And I think, again, it's being brave. And I know that word's been bandied around a lot, but it's about just not being competent and really think about it's using your imagination and having and contextually, if you've got the material there, to go, well, I think I've made that choice about that character and that's why I'm making those choices in those scenes.
Mm.
Well, I know in my past corporate life, negotiating with Woolies and that at the start that used to make me nervous. After a while it was kind of okay. So walking into an audition, I feel all right. I feel calm. I feel good. And mainly because I'm all over the material and I've got my options and all the rest of it. But what advice would you give to actors who do, they walk into the room and they're nervous and like you can see they're sort of struggling a bit even before you get a word out of them?
Well, there's many times that's happened. Look, we can feel it pretty much, and I hope that we're generous and be kind to people to sort of make them feel comfortable. I think it's about sort of overcoming and being comfortable and trying to make the actors feel comfortable when they walk in and explaining what we want and for them to kind of breathe. I mean, breathing techniques are always good, changing the tune and just going, it doesn't matter, let's just get in there and play. And yeah, it's something that I can't do. I mean, really the actor has to sometimes use the energy and look, usually the first takes, sometimes I usually record on the first take because sometimes even though actors are nervous, it can be really great because it's their first choice And we can always delete it. The days of digital now, the old pneumatic tapes we didn't, but the digital now we can delete. It doesn't really matter. And once it's all out and everyone's had a bit of a run, everyone starts to relax a bit. And then you go, okay, great, we've got that, nailed that. Let's try it this way.
And are you comfortable if an actor walks in the room and says, look, can I just have a moment?
Yeah, of course.
Just...
it depends on how much, whether they're going to meditate in the back corner for 3 minutes. That has happened.
Start chanting for 10 minutes.
No, that should have happened outside before you come in. But yes, of course, if they go, I've got dry mouth, have a glass of water, go to the toilet, come in, relax, or why don't you just sit it out for 10 minutes and I'll take the other actor in. You come back in 10 minutes. And
cool.
We're pretty cool and we've seen it all. It's just trying to, I want there's this idea that casting directors are the enemy of the actor. We want actors to do well. It's about us looking good. So you guys make us look good. If I've got 10 fabulous actors, we look great. So we work with actors and we love what you guys do. So I don't want anyone to be comfortable. So there's, I think if they believe that we've only chosen them in because we want you to do well, once you've got that in your head and that we're on your side, because it doesn't do anyone a service for us to be, have a terrified actor or a disgruntled actor or an angry actor. It doesn't work. So, but we also are busy people and, casting directors, and we're all got demands. And, I might have 3 awful phone calls, during that casting. So I might be distracted, or we're busy, or we're running late. And there's a lot of other things that we we have going on that we may be distracted at times too.
Yeah, I think being a theatre nerd and being in theatre my whole life as well, I think it's really cool how nerves you be nervous right before curtain opens up, and then that just turns into adrenaline, and it just helps so much. I think if you're not nervous, it's a bit of a low performance, and I think it works for film and TV as well. Same idea, even in an audition sense, as scary as they can be.
I think once you start to become a bit dry-mouthed and breathless, that can be a problem, because you sort of race through, you're not listening and you're racing through your audition just to get it over and done with. But that could be the first audition, and you go, okay, you've said it, you've got the lines out, you know it, blah. And okay, everyone breathe, run up and down, and now we can all relax. And we're well aware of that. And so I can, I'll do. And every actor's different, every situation's different. And we try and just judge. I mean, part psychologist to try and go, okay, it's all okay,
Cool.
So had a car, partner's left, they're moving house, sorry I'm late, all that stuff. We go, yeah, we've got shit going on in our lives too, so it's all okay.
So what advice can you give us on how to get, I guess, on the radar of casting directors and people like you? Because, I mean, for example, Max and I both have agents. Obviously, that's probably one of the first steps. But just on top of that, are you happy if people cold send you stuff? Obviously, you're super busy, so could that be annoying? Pretty much. How do you get on your radar, I guess?
Sending when you do new work, to get your agent to send it to us, because I think having unsolicited emails or text messages or phone calls from others, we just can't keep up, because otherwise 500 people would call us a day. And I try to respond if actors do email me. I might have it might sit there for a couple of days before I respond. And if they've got a great new podcast or they've got a new short film, I try and watch it if it's relevant to, particularly if it's relevant to the work that I'm doing. I might be doing 2 jobs at the same time. So if I look at the photograph and I go, oh, that person might be, I don't know that person very well. I'll look at their new show, whatever short film or whatever they've done, or new reel. Sometimes that can be handy to jog my memory at the time. If it's not relevant to the work that I'm doing, it goes into the file where I look at it later and I'll, when I've got time. But I do look at everything and I try to watch everything. And I'm always excited about new people, or if people have got new work, I will look at it. It's just that I may not respond. And I know other casting directors are just as busy, and it's hard to respond. If invite us to the theatre, if they're doing a show or a comedy gig, invite us to the show. If we can get there, we will.
Some great advice.
Awesome.
Absolutely amazing. I think in a way it kind of cements what we've been saying in our podcasts of, you know, do as much as you can to be prepared, to be able to do your best, have a few different options, and it's a chance to sort of, you know, show off your skills in person, really.
Well, exactly. And I think what you're doing, and a lot of actors that join up with groups of people, if you can write and you can produce, you guys can get a group of people together and you practice your craft. I mean, unfortunately, it's not like being a painter or a musician where you could do it alone. You need to find a group of people, you know, do your self-tests with, you know, you need to critique your own work. As actors, I think actors are waiting to be told how to act or how to present. In this new COVID world, self-tests are here to stay. Obviously, we all want to get in the studio and do that. But I think actors have lost the art of actually critiquing other people's work and critiquing your own work. So if you've got a group of friends that you trust, and that you do a self-audition, you know, you do an audition, get them to read, to be really, really strong about the critiquing, not negative critiquing, but to say maybe you could do it this way, you could try it that way. Why don't we do takes? Let's play with that. Exactly what we do in the room. You should be able to look at other people's work. I mean, just as when you watch a show and, you know, some people can say, I love that performance, but why do you like that performance? What is it about that performance working? How do they transcend? What's the emotion going on? And what are the tricks that actors do? Are they covering up their emotions? How are they expressing it? How could you improve on, you know, are they too obvious? Is it too obvious to cry openly? Should they better be covering it up? I mean, there's all sorts of things that you should be able to critique your own work with. And then that makes a better self-test, and you've got a group of friends that you trust to do that with is really important, because your agents can't. Now the agents are finding it overwhelming that when they get their self-tests and, you know, 40 people of their get 40 self-tests, the agents are now having to watch that and critique it and then send them on. And they miss that whole process. Those agents used to send the actors in and they never got to see what happens in our room or what their actors are doing. And now they're looking at their actors and they're watching the auditions and they're having to kind of critique. And I think they're finding it probably overwhelming and don't know how to advise on that. And they're wanting a lot more feedback, you know, and the feedback normally happens in the room. Essentially, you don't get the feedback why you didn't get the job, but we're giving you feedback and you can usually tell what you're doing each audition you do, what you're lacking or what you need to do to get better each time.
That's great. That's really interesting about the agent piece, because I never thought of it that way, how they're suddenly exposed to exactly what the hell happens.
And they're exposed to what their clients are doing all the time. So now they can say, well, do I have a great actor here or don't I? You know, because they miss that whole bit unless your actor gets the job.
Yeah.
And going, well, that actor does something weird with their mouth every time they do an audition. They've got a tick. You know, I mean, things that you now can look at your friends and look at yourself and go, I don't believe you. I don't buy that. I don't buy the emotion. You know, drop the pretense. You know, if you turned around and looked up, or you didn't do the whole test directly to camera or to that person, you know, it's amazing what the power of not looking at someone does when you do an audition, or the power of your body, you know, standing with two legs as opposed to sitting on one leg, and how you give your power away and how you say your line and what eye line you know, all of that stuff, which is, you know, when you're looking at body language and when you're looking at how people react in certain situations, how truthful it is and why isn't it truthful? Why don't I buy it? And you should be able to say why you don't. And again, it's all subjective and people are all different and every choice you make is different. But, you know, for us in the room, something will move us and we'll go, oh my God, that was just like, wow. Because it's so truthful, or it's so moving, or it's so funny. And why is it funny? Because it's so quirky, or it's so truthful, or it's, you know, I don't know. All of those things, I'm sort of talking around, but it's guys as actors can do that yourself as well. You know, it's a good practice for actors to watch a television show, an Australian television show, your competitors, the people you're about to work for, you know, who is the cinematographers, who are the directors, who are the, you know, the director, you know, producers, what have they done in the previous time? I mean, this is your homework, and how to pitch it and what do they like, what actors do they choose, and then watch the actors and then say, well, what is it about that performance that I love? And really, really nut it out, you know, and be able to have that conversation with your friends. but not critical, not like I just think it's shit.
Yeah. Constructively. Yeah. That's great. Look, thank you, Anusha, so much for a whole lot of great insights, to be perfectly honest. And congratulations again on the ACTA award.
There it is.
I thought I saw it over your shoulder there.
Like,
yes, well done. You got it. Flaunt it. That's it. That's what you... Thank you very much. We do appreciate your time. And wherever you're listening to your podcast, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss more tips and tricks for actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And you'll hear us next week.
Two unemployed actors.